Today I'm going to be talking about the fact that we live in a very dystopian era. My name is Steve. This is TQA Weekly. I am Canadian, but I'm not necessarily proud of it. We live in a very dystopian era where governments around the world think very much alike. You see, Canada admits end-to-end encryption is important. It is a member of the Five Eyes intelligence pooling alliance, and it also wants to break end-to-end encryption, exactly like Russia, China, North Korea, and other places. They are no more innocent than the United States, and we know this because of Edward Snowden. In fact, Canada does a lot worse stuff. There is no reason, as a Canadian who understands about technology and the very importance of encryption, there is no reason for me to be proud as a Canadian, because it is disgusting how they think. They know it's important. They know what can happen. And they even try to pass it during a pandemic, a law that would require backdoors. Why? Because they know that we would not sit down quietly if we could fight it. Now I want you to imagine that you are a citizen of a dystopian country accessing a website with end-to-end encryption, and that you're an employee or a citizen trying to notify journalists or anyone else who will listen of illegal acts in your business or your own country, trying to warn the world of those very malicious acts that harm others, the innocent around the world. And I want you to realize that if a place like Canada destroys end-to-end encryption, that person, you, will no longer be safe. Why? Because all of a sudden, malicious groups will have access to that information. They will know it's you. They will know what the content of the message was, not just the metadata, but the content of the message. They will know what you said, and your life will be at risk. This is no longer just a place where we have to deal with dictatorships. This is a very dictatorship type of thinking that you need access to the information whatsoever. And why do they claim they need access to backdoors to end-to-end encryption? Because of malicious groups. Well, I'm going to tell you what happens when you break end-to-end encryption so that every single person realizes just how dangerous it is. When something has a backdoor, it is no longer secure. There is no way for it to be secure, and no country, since computers have been a thing, has ever proven itself capable of keeping their hands on code and not leaking it accidentally or intently to the dark web itself. Many of the malicious programs and viruses we have to deal with today are generated by governments, leaked to the dark web by malicious people. And because governments around the world have never proven themselves capable of holding onto the keys to backdoors, we should not have them in the first place, because they risk the very lives they are trying to protect. Encryption, in many cases, is what keeps your kids safe from people being able to stalk them on the internet. Can you imagine somebody being able to figure out where your kid is, kidnap them, and force you to pay ransom? Well, encryption without a backdoor pretty much helps you against that. If it wasn't for encryption, that information would not be safe. Can you imagine how many murders and kidnappings encryption has prevented? Can you imagine how much fraud was prevented by encryption? How much theft was prevented by encryption? How much information hasn't leaked to the internet from businesses and individuals because of encryption? Encryption protects our lives, and encryption with the backdoor is not encryption whatsoever. It allows people to communicate to journalists and other police agencies, just as well as protecting others from criminals. It is therefore extremely important to understand that Russia, China, North Korea are not alone in this dystopian future thoughts. Places like Canada, the UK, United States are just as guilty as trying to spy on their people. And we know this to be true. And for some crazy reason, countries are using now as a time to try to push their agendas, to push for a dystopian future. It wasn't that long ago that there was a TV show called Continuum that showed what it might look like. I want you to keep in mind that we are on the precipice of a very similar thing happening in our own era. Basically, what I want you to understand is the governments out there that are truly trying to protect their citizens don't exist. In order to truly protect your citizens, you have to fight for backdoorless encryption that is completely secure, where every single innocent person can have their own privacy and be protected against malicious groups. Don't attack the technology that malicious people use that also protects the innocent, because that will not help anybody whatsoever. It will simply make matters worse. Like this episode if you like it, dislike it if you didn't. Share with those you think could benefit from this, and don't forget to subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions for topics, email me at ask@tqaweekly.com or go to my website, tqaweekly.com, where you can see such things as the show notes for this episode, past others, find other ways of subscribing, and use the contact form to email me directly. And if you want to see me play video games such as Borderlands 3s or Metro Exodus, head over to twitch.tv/zaxis1981. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.